bother to stand there. Joe, you're not allowed to ask any questions. For those of you who don't know, I'm Stan Jacobs, and thank you for allowing me to be here today. I was actually very honored when I was nominated for this, to be on this board. A little bit on my background. I'm a hotel guy. Been in the hospitality industry 35 years, so that's where all the grade comes from. And I've managed hotels and resorts all across the country. Then I was with Hilton Hotels for many years, worked with them both here in the U.S. and then internationally. We moved back here with my family from London, in fact, about 3 years ago. Indianapolis is home to my wife and I. We're actually from here originally, so we kind of are returning home after being gone for so long. How we got exposed to the Chinese community probably started for me about 20 years ago when I operated a hotel in San Francisco that was owned and operated by a group of Hong Kong investors. And I kind of grew to appreciate, working for the Chinese and learning kind of their ways of doing business and their way of just philosophies in general. And I kind of appreciated that. Lo and behold, I don't think my wife and I knew that 10 years later we'd come to the conclusion that to help our family grow, we would go and adopt 2 daughters from China. And we adopted both of our daughters when they were infants, and they're now 11 and 12, going on 20 and 25. And they've been here at this school for the past 3 years. When we lived together, when we adopted our children, we lived in Dallas, Texas. And from the start, our decision was to kind of keep that culture alive and well with them. That's their heritage, and we want to keep that going. So we were fortunate enough to find a teacher that started teaching them, and this was 8 students in their home, and a fabulous teacher there in Dallas. When we moved to the UK, we were fortunate enough to find another school that we could keep that culture going, and that was about 100 students working in a community center. So when we made the decision to return to the U.S. and live here in Indianapolis, I was concerned that, wow, we're going to be able to find a Chinese school, for our daughters when we got back here. Lo and behold, we found there's many choices, not just one. However, ICCCI was definitely the right choice for us, and we were impressed with it from the start, how well it's organized, the after-school activities, everything, the whole package. It was just great. But we made another decision when we moved back here to Indianapolis to not just enroll our daughters in the program. We decided to take the whole family, do it all in one shot. So you're right. My wife and I joined the adult program last year under Tom's good direction there, and I'm sure we drive him crazy, but we were challenged by our daughters to say, if Chinese is so important, how come you guys don't learn it too? So we said, okay. Probably the hardest decision I've ever made. But no, we truly enjoy it, and not only that, but we've also gotten involved in all the after-school activities, as everybody mentioned. My wife has been learning the Dipsa from Master Lee, and I got real bold last year after one of the Chinese New Year programs and saw Master Zhao playing the Ruan, and next thing you know, in just a few minutes of translation with somebody else in mind, they talked me into starting to take lessons every week. I bought the instrument, and I've been playing it now for over a year, and didn't know that he was putting together this thing called the Indianapolis Chinese Orchestra. So we've been performing in that as well. It's fun. We enjoy it, and as I tell everybody, I said I may not be Chinese, but I think I probably am adapting to that mentality probably better than most out there. In terms of what I kind of bring to the table here, and why I'm interested in this position. The position I'm applying for, by the way, is secretary. And I see the secretary position as kind of really managing the internal communication of the board. But I think there's also an opportunity, because of my involvement with the hotel industry, with community leaders. The past 3 years I've gotten very involved in Indianapolis. I know a lot of people, and I've also gotten involved in a lot of variety of other organizations. Throughout my career, by the way, I've always been involved with various associations. I've been an officer of more than I can count, and on various boards around the country. Here in Indianapolis, I'm president-elect of FCC Indiana, which is Families for Children from China. We joined IACA this past December. Kind of like that organization, like everything they're about. I'm on the planning committee for the Chinese festival coming up, and I've been involved with the festival for the past 3 years. I think where I think I can see, getting back to where I think I can kind of help and add some contribution here, I think there's an opportunity here that the Chinese culture, being from Indiana, I can safely say that 25 years ago, there were virtually no Chinese in Indiana. I think we all know that now. And it's just phenomenal how much, this community has grown during that time. And I think part of what ICCCI does is the school is invaluable, and it started out, I know, as to be a resource for, Chinese Americans that have relocated here, so you can kind of keep that language and culture alive for your children. However, it's a great resource, and I think there's a big opportunity for more of that coming from non-Chinese, individuals that just want to see it. I see more and more kids now coming to this school that are not Chinese, and their parents aren't Chinese. They just have a desire to learn, the language. And so there's an opportunity there. I think every time we do all of our extra activities that we do out there, that's what's given us the exposure, that awareness out there in the community that we need. I think as a board member, I think it's important to be connected and be well involved in the organization you're doing. And in my case, I'm a student, I'm a parent, I participate in a lot of the activities, even the lion dance when Tom recruits me when he doesn't have enough people. Yeah. And my daughter plays, she's in the lion dance. We all get involved and we do whatever it takes. We like this community, we plan to be here for a while, and I hope I get your vote. Thank you. Oh, we can ask it. Any questions?
Hi, here.
Yes.
Hi, thanks for running this position. I think with your help, we'll have a better connection with the mainstream society. My question is, since you have a lot of experience with other organizations, especially with the FCC, so I'm particularly interested in what do you think ICCI can do for FCC families? I think in past many years we have a lot of experience. Two organizations work together, but I'm not, for my person, I'm not very satisfied with the result. I think we can do much better. But I mean, because we are from the ICCI side, I want to know what you think from the FCC side. What can ICCI do better to serve those families? Thank you.
That's a great question. It's actually an ongoing frustration and a challenge for us with FCC. Not all families, I guess, see the value in keeping that Chinese culture alive to the extent that we do. And keep in mind, FCC are all families that have adopted children from China. So we keep trying to bring that to the forefront. We've been reevaluating a lot of things with FCC, trying to get it more active, trying to build up our membership. But the interesting thing is because the number of adoptions has slowed down so much over the past few years, just because of tighter regulation and just the length of time involved. We don't have as many young. We started out, catering to families with very young children, infants. Yeah. Well, now those girls are getting older. Those kids are getting a lot older, and the parents seem to have the attitude in some cases that, well, the kids aren't interested in the Chinese culture. Yeah, I beg to differ. We find in most cases when you talk to these kids, and they hear what our kids are up to and the activities they're involved with here right now, they get very excited and they say, "Oh, I wish we could do that. Why can't we do that?" So we're kind of launching a big campaign on our end that just kind of invite non-members on a real regular basis and kind of put the pressure on the other way, where we have our daughters take flyers to school and hand it to their other friends that are there. And so it's kind of an end run back to the parents to kind of get them to come. And I think that's a key, to kind of get them back in here to see what's going on. The part that frustrates Merrill and I is the fact that so many parents just use it as an excuse and say, well, we just don't have time, or they're not interested. They're blaming the kids, and it's really not the kids. It's a commitment on the parents' part. You know, you got to come here on a Sunday, and, you know, we come every Sunday. We're here from 1 till, in my case, 6:30 at night, because we have our rehearsals afterwards. Yeah, that's our commitment, you know, so, and we make a point of being here pretty regularly. We very seldom miss a class. It's going to take just continued communication, and I will say this, I don't have enough knowledge to get involved in the bylaws on the amendment being discussed right now, but I will say this, the continuity that needs to exist between organizations. It's tough. It's tough to get up to a certain point, and you've got a president in place and everything. You need at least a couple of years of continuity in there so that you can keep that relationship going with another organization. We've had our share of turnover as well on the board, and we've had some challenges. So we're trying to kind of build that back up as we speak. I think that's going to be the key.